Hey everyone, it is George Couros. Thanks for being back this week. This is the third and final episode. It's stories, and you can actually read them, snippets of them anyway, in my newsletter. I'd love for you to subscribe to that. You can subscribe to this channel. And I've been sharing some things that have happened in my career that I thought were terrible at the time, would totally derail me, and actually ended up working out for the better. And they didn't work out for the better because they just worked out. It's because I did something, I was committed to trying something new, and I just didn't let that failure kind of hold me back. And I think it's good to share some of these lessons of failure, things that didn't go wrong and how you actually, persevered and became better of it. The first episode, you'll actually see, I talked about basically a job that I didn't get, and I was like an interview that just went horribly wrong, or actually didn't go wrong. It felt actually like it went well, but it actually ended up getting a totally different job, changed the trajectory of my life forever. The second one was focus on turning down a principal job when I wanted it so badly, and really kind of focusing on saying no to others to say yes to yourself. And so you can check those episodes out as well. And the final one I'm gonna share with you is really kind of personal, to be honest with you. It's when I actually had to take a stress leave, and it was probably about a month. And it's funny because I think about this quite a bit, that if I didn't take that leave at the time I did, I don't think I'd be talking to you right now. I don't think I'd be involved in education, and I didn't really realize it as much. And I think sometimes we give so much of ourselves to others, and I talked a little bit, I hinted at this in the last episode, that we actually end up having nothing left for ourselves. And all of a sudden just kind of snaps, and that's it. And I remember this was actually after being a principal, after, now I'm in central office, and, had like just giving, and then, had some personal stuff going on. And I remember basically coming into the office, and my mentor, Kelly Wilkins, who, I just love dearly to this day. My life is so much better because of her, not just career-wise, but just my life. She kind of knew something was off, and she was checking in on me, and I was just not who I was. I had lost something. And she basically said, like, I think you should take a leave. Like, I think you should take a break. And I did not want to take a break at all. I did not want to take a leave. And it wasn't, I kind of knew I should. It was just the fear of like people, the perception people would have of me. And I actually remember, and I didn't share this in the newsletter, I remember writing about it after I came back. And this is just an aside. And I remember talking to my brother Alec, who's involved in education, and I said, do you think like me writing and talking about this openly is going to be detrimental to my career long term? Is someone going to think that, I can't handle the job, that, I had to take a leave, it's so embarrassing? What are they going to think of me? And he said, look, you're probably going to lose some opportunities because of it. But if somebody looks at you and thinks that you taking leave for your own mental health is a sign of weakness, and they don't want you part of the job, you probably don't want to work for them anyway. And I'm like, it's actually a pretty good way to see it. And that was really helpful for me at that time. I remember thinking about that yeah, I wouldn't want to work with someone who, because I know as a principal, I remember I used to say this to my staff, like, hey, sometimes you just need a day. You don't need to like get a doctor's note, like just need a day, because I'd rather you be 100% for 4 days than 50% for 5. Because you just, sometimes you just need to take a step back. And so that was something I was really believed in. And the advice I'd given to others, I wasn't willing to take myself. So basically Kelly kind of talked me into taking this leave. And she said, like, it's not a day, it's not 2 days, it's whatever you need. Just, you figure it out. You've actually worked that you have this time that you can take it, if you are sick and you're not feeling yourself, and, you'll be fine. You'll be fine but if you don't take this, you are going to struggle. So I took it, and I remember like, it was really, really bad. And then I took the leave, and it was a million times worse. Like, it was basically, I had been kind of pushing everything aside, and then everything all at once just, fell onto me. And I remember like I would be in bed all day. The only things that would get me up were my dogs. And like you see how much I love my dogs. You see Odom and Cooper, their image behind me, because I just every single day, like I had to like take them out. I'd do something that would kind of like, push me to get for a walk and stuff like that. And I don't know if I would have got out of bed if it wasn't for them. I remember, I'd watch, I remember distinctly my dogs get me up and watching Pardon the Interruption, which is like my favorite sports show. That was like kind of my reprieve every single day. So I started to feel better. I would check in with Kelly and she would check in with me. And I always thought it was really amazing that she would check in with me and it never felt, she always knew kind of the boundary of like, I want to make sure he knows he's cared for, but I don't want to overwhelm him with messages either. And it was really, really thoughtful. And so eventually I said, yeah, you know what? I'm ready to come back. And so you come back, I'm feeling better, but then you kind of I took a little step back. And the reason I say that is because you then feel like everyone's looking at me like, something's wrong with this guy, something's up. And so I struggle with that a little bit. And I kind of held that feeling, but I did feel better and I was okay back to work. But I held it for a little while. And then I remember getting called into Kelly's office to talk. And I actually felt, I'm not going to lie to you, I felt she was going to say, you know what? Like, you gotta quit. Like we're going to fire. I thought I was going to get fired. That's what I thought was going to happen. And she called me in and she, checked in on me and she said, you know what? And I had been speaking a little bit at this time, not a ton, but speaking a little bit. She said, hey, we're thinking about our opening day next year. And we always bring speakers in to kind of set people up. We actually want you to do it this year. I was like, what? And she said, no, this would be, it'd be amazing because, we see people just love your messaging and we know what you talk about and we have you in our district. Why wouldn't we actually leverage you? Because now we have this inspiring message from someone who you see the next day. And I was like shocked that I couldn't believe that this opportunity was coming my way. And so she talked me into it and I took it. And fast forward 2-3 months later, when people are coming back, I was so nervous. When it's people, it's almost like you want to do better. You want to like make sure, because you're going to do the same thing. They're going to see you every day. So I did everything I could to make that as amazing as possible. And I went from a moment to basically not thinking I'd ever be okay again at work and being a little embarrassed to fast forward, I got a standing ovation based on my message. And I don't, most people there in the district, it was large, they didn't know anything that I had gone to, but some people did. And I felt like the thing that Kelly did so well that I think about all the time, she pushed me to something I wasn't quite ready for in my mind. And it would level me up. And that opportunity opened up doors for me in other districts, other organizations. And it really set my speaking career off in a totally different way. And when I wrote about this, I shared this quick lesson that sometimes stepping back or even away is the most critical decision you can make for moving forward. And then I also shared this lesson: ask for help when you need it as a sign of strength, not weakness. And I think, I want to share this because I know a lot of times people struggle with taking time off for themselves. There's a feeling of guilt, a feeling of shame, a feeling of embarrassment. And I understand because I've been there. But it is the same thing, is that if you don't take a little, sometimes when you need that time, if you don't take it now, it can come back and then you won't have much time left in your work long term. And you have to be thoughtful that if you give everything to everyone else, but nothing to yourself, it catches up with you. So I'm really guarded. And a lot of the strategies I learned during that break, from having conversations with people, I use to this day. There's certain boundaries that I have that I make sure, like, hey, this is, and there's certain expectations in, when I work with groups and things like that. It's always stuck with me. So I wanted to share that with you because I think a lot of times people see, things I do in my life and they don't see the struggles, but we all have struggles. I just saw before I popped on here that a lot of times people that you see that have success or perceived success, you don't see the season they struggled. And a lot of people didn't know anything about me at that time. And so I wanted to share this with you because there's a lot of times we really struggle and people don't see that. They just see kind of where you are now. And I think it hopefully inspires somebody to say, hey, it might be tough right now, but if you got people that care about you and support and you're open to them supporting you, it can get so much better. So anyways, something I learned from failure. I hope you enjoyed the series. I'd love to hear from you. If any of these stories resonate with you, any of the lessons I learned that hopefully you can glean something from. I just want to keep these short, do this little podcast series, but thanks for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.